today we're going to try to help out an older couple have a little more safe way to their tornado shelter. Usually when you go to a tornado shelter, you're not doing it in a very casual manner, you're like in a hurry. And this is kind of deteriorating pretty bad. And what I noticed is there's a lot of different heights. First of all, this one is like 8, 9 inches depending on where it is. This one is 6 3/4. That one is 7, and this one is 2.5, 3 inches. So what happens is when you're in a hurry is you miss a step and then you fall down. That's a bad thing when you fall down and you're older. You don't get up as well and things come off of you when you fall, like Bill Cosby says. So what I want to do is make a wider platform so they can literally open the door and stand on the platform and then walk toward that. And I will do it instead of 7 inches, which is the normal step height, I'm going to do it in 5.5 inch. So I want this step, which actually has a lip in here, to be 5.5 inches down to the finish. So it'll be 7 inches when that frame is built, that we'll build. And we'll build it out 6 foot, 4 foot wide. That's my plan. And then we're going to show you how we do it as we go along. What I decided to do is even though I wasn't going to, I decided to go ahead and do a 6 foot area and 4 foot wide, so that when we put a 4x4 here and a 4x4 over there, they can come out here and actually get themselves together and then come off of here. What I'm looking at now is we've made the frame with every 2 foot a stud, which that's in the center of 2 foot, and there's 3 screws per, temporarily fastened to there. I don't rely on that. And what we'll be doing next is, of course, when you put these up temporarily, I used to do this by myself. I fasten it up there in a temporary fashion and then put screw in, hold it up, screw it, hold it up, screw it, and then check it again, then check it for square. Now when you check for square, you can use a framing square and that'd be accurate with a smaller area, but you can do any increment of 3, 4, 5. Now, okay, that sounds really simple, but it's not. So what you do, you go inside or outside. In this case, I'm going inside. I can go 3 foot, which is 36, not marked on this, right there. And then 4 foot on the inside would be too far. So let's go. Let's do it down to 30. Maybe I can catch it that way. 30, 40. 40 inches, and it should be, if it's square, it should be exactly 50. But it's 3, 4, 5. Any increment of 3, 4, 5. So 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot. It can be 30 foot, 40 foot, 50 foot. That's a long stretch. You have a lot of sag. That's not working out real well. Anyways, 3, 4, 5. 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot. This is not big enough to do that. You would use a framing square, and then you can pick this up by yourself and move it. It might be very difficult, but you can move. I've moved a 16 by 16 foot deck by myself, did in 16 foot sections, and then you can readjust their heights on that. But it's 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot, or 6 foot, 8 foot, 10 foot. It will do that every time, dead on square. What we're going to do next is put in the 4x4s. I use, instead of using, which I have brand new blocks, instead of using pier pads or pier blocks that they have, where it has, where the 4x4 goes exactly in, I don't like those. For the biggest reason is well, it's not if, it's when the deck settles, you can't hardly get a shim in there. So you're trying to end up being creative how to shim it. Then you got people that are like, oh, I want in concrete. Okay, guess what happens? Water settles around that top of that concrete and it rots off the wood right there. Or it just rots off the wood right there because that's what it does. There are exceptions when you get to bigger and bigger wood that you can, but you're gonna look at better to have a bracket on top of concrete if you're gonna do that. But in this case, we're not hardly having any weight at all. We're gonna put half pads, or what they call cap blocks, which is 4 inches by 8 inches wide by 16 inches long, solid. And this is an old one. And I'll put them underneath the 4x4s that will be supporting this. And I'll show you a picture of that. Hey guys, we're back a little further along. Put the 4x4s in the corners. I've got 3 screws and everything. You're going to see me doing that all the time. I changed it up. I like the idea of being able to go through there to the walkway and them have a handrail on both sides closed. So I changed it so it wouldn't have to square off and then do a jog. So how do I get the 4x4s? It's a lot easier to cut them before you put them up there. In time to take a sawzall, not get into the house. So what I normally do is I measure up from whatever level with this support here. I measure up from the block to the top, and then I add 28.5 inches, which ends up being the height. You can be 30, 32. I don't like the 42 that they use because when you sit down, either in the house or on your deck, you can't see over the handrails. It's not comfortable when you're sitting on your chair because it ends up being the glass is up here. Your arm would be right on that 30 inch, 32, 28, 29 inch area. These people are a little shorter, leaning over a little bit. So I made it where it's not very high. We're going to put a 2x6 on top of that. So if you notice we've got all this put in place, and I'll show you the next part we're going to put on. I'll show you each step as we go. What we've done now is make a 3-foot by 8-foot frame. We supported it here on these areas where it's only 5.5 inches the thickness of this. I don't put a block because it ends up being so flimsy it wouldn't do any good to have a handrail. On the other side, I don't want to lose this strength where I can as far as being on the ground, and I don't want them stepping off on a higher step. So I put those 2 on blocks and these 2 not. We're going to make the handrail go to here. That way they can go this direction if they want to, and the downhill if they want to. And if you notice, of course everything's leveled up. We put in supports around here so that when we cut the 2x that we're going to put a 2x6 that we put across here, we'll have something to sit on. It won't just sit splunting around. This area is on the outside because I wanted to keep 3-foot width, so that they would have more width here. People can get bigger. Anyway, there's the next step. What we're going to go do next is put in the floor, then we're going to put the handrail in.
Okay. Yep. Sorry.
The 2x6 is what we put on top. Then we put a 2x4 underneath that supports the 2x6 and gives something in case you wanted to put stiles in. Put one in about 7 inches so nobody slips off. And also if you put the balusters in, you can fasten it to that. The 45 this, we fastened all of the flooring with 3 screws each. And this is far, I'd get real fancy, it costs a lot more money. But this is way more than what they expected. So you can do the same thing. We're all Americans, not Americans.